What's up guys, today's video I am gonna do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best laptops under 500 2021. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use to for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. We'll be back with more videos. The HP Stream 11 is something of a remnant of the netbook era of the early 2000s, when there was a strong demand for smaller Windows XP powered laptops with 11.6-inch screens and lightweight chassis. Tablets, smartphones, and Chromebooks conspired to send most netbook designs packing, but a few models have kept the faith through the rise of Windows 10 and are still available. The HP Stream 11 is one of them. It's been updated with a more modern aesthetic and contemporary niceties like HDMI and USB Type-C ports, but it's otherwise a rollback to the way budget laptop computing was in 2005. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're on the strictest of budgets and you'd rather check your email, sports scores, and the weather on a small laptop with a physical keyboard instead of a tablet or a phone, the Stream 11 happily obliges. The model we're reviewing here is HP's configuration dubbed Stream 11 AK0010NR, with a royal blue color scheme, an Intel Celeron N4020 CPU, 4GB of memory, and 32GB of M storage. With the Stream 11, you might find slightly different configuration options and color schemes from each retailer. Our model comes from Amazon, but Best Buy sells a white model with 64GB of M storage for $250, which is model AK0012DX. Besides the too tight storage drive, the Stream 11 screen quality is our other chief complaint, and that's not one that's easily rectified. The display measures 11.6 inches diagonally and sports a 1366 by 768 pixel native resolution. Commonly found on the sub-$400 laptop set, this resolution is lower than Full HD, 1920 by 1080 pixels, and, even on a screen this small, results in grainy text and vaguely fuzzy images. Most Chromebooks that are less expensive than the Flex 5 typically have smaller displays, all plastic bodies and slower processors. Spending a bit more for this Lenovo is worth it because it's simply better. The body is only slightly larger than 11.6-inch models like those commonly used by school districts. However, the larger 13.3-inch display here makes a big difference when scrolling through learning sites or just whenever you need more of your work on the screen all at once. While the display's color and contrast are fine, the screen is a bit dim. I found myself regularly trying to increase it beyond its max setting. This was mostly when I was using it in a bright room near a window or outside. Otherwise, the display was good enough, and it is UC, Universal Stylus Initiative, pen-enabled and will work with Lenovo's UC Pen. Above the display is a serviceable 720p webcam. The mic quality is fine, too, so you should have no trouble being seen and heard on your next Google Meet. Virtually no Chromebooks, Windows laptops or MacBooks have decent Full HD or better webcams, which is a shame now that everyone's using them non-stop. Along with a USB-C port on the right side is a volume rocker and power button, all of which can be accessed in tablet mode. But watch out, because the power button is easy to press accidentally when you steady the laptop to plug something into a port on the left side. It's not a big deal since Chrome asks what you want to do, power off, sign out or lock, before it does anything. It's just annoying. Lenovo did put USB-C ports on both sides, though, and you can charge the Chromebook from either. The rest of the Flex 5 is just roundly good. The keyboard simplicity reigns with this design, in just about every facet. It's a standard 15-inch system with a plain design, certainly not a head-turner but perfect for blending in. The VivoBook 15's color isn't too adventurous either, sporting a gray paint job, but it's not boring thanks to a speckled metallic look. In terms of portability, the system measures 0.78 by 14.1 by 9.1 inches, HWD, and weighs 3.75 pounds. That's not super lightweight, but still a far cry from being heavy, and should be able to go in your backpack or bag without much notice. The chassis is made of plastic and mostly feels solid. The texture doesn't feel too cheap, and there's some flex if you push around the keyboard or the lid, but nothing that should be noticeable or concerning in normal use. The keyboard and touchpad just about meet that same quality mark, serviceable but not remarkable. The keyboard is the better of the two, with a good amount of travel on the keys without feeling too mushy. They're a little squishy, and clean white backlighting. The touchpad is just okay, perhaps a touch small, but it does also include a fingerprint reader in the top right corner. The display is where the quality is a bit of a letdown. The resolution is Full HD, 1920 by 1080 pixels, which is good, but the screen is a bit washed out, particularly at full brightness. The whites and light colors are too bright, while dark colors are not dark enough, and there's a bit of light bleed, too. It never looks quite right, but lowering the brightness helps matters a little. The panel doesn't seem particularly sharp, either, perhaps it's a result of the brightness, but the text lacks a bit of clarity. It's hard to see any of this in the photo below, and at least the bezels are slim, but it's evident in use. The viewing angles, additionally, are not great, the picture darkens and discolors quickly as you move to the side. Between the whitish sheen and poor viewing angles, the picture quality looks like it does when a built-in laptop privacy filter is active on a business laptop, if you've ever used that kind of feature. As with the original Surface Go, the Surface Go 2 is an affordable device from Microsoft, and is aimed at taking on Chromebooks when it comes to appealing to students. This actually makes it a more interesting device than other Surface products, which usually aim for premium and high-end markets. By delivering a good-looking, good-performing device at a price point far more people can afford, Microsoft is doing something its rivals like Apple and Google often neglect. The Microsoft Surface Go 2 price in India starts at a compelling 42,999 rupees. That gets you a device with 4GB RAM, 64GB storage and an Intel Pentium Gold 4425Y dual-core processor. That's the kind of spec you'd find in ultra-cheap laptops or Chromebooks, but for a Windows 10 machine, it's quite weak. The 4GB RAM is just about passable, but don't go expecting to fire up loads of intensive applications at the same time. That 64GB of storage, however, is going to fill up incredibly fast, especially with Windows 10 installed. So, if you're planning on doing light day-to-day tasks, like browsing the web and writing up documents, while sticking with Windows 10's mode, which limits the apps you can install on the device to only ones from the Microsoft Store, which are usually very limited, then this model should do the job fine. But for anyone with more ambitious plans for the Surface Go 2, you'll need to go for a more powerful model. If you've seen any other Surface Pro device, the Microsoft Surface Go 2 follows the same design, just smaller on two axes. As far as budget laptops go, it doesn't get much better than this. It feels very premium with a reassuring heft while coming in at just 8.3mm thick, without the keyboard cover. The sides and the back are made of brushed aluminium, making it great to touch and carry around. There really isn't much to complain about when it comes to material choices or the build. The bottom half of the back splits open to become a kickstand and can open up to around 165 degrees. The hinge enabling this is also strong enough to prop up the tablet at all possible angles, without tipping over or slipping. The Acer Aspire 5 feels like a refuge from circa 2015. The slightly dated design is notable chiefly for big, fat bezels top and bottom of the 14-inch display. That said, slim side bezels at least ensure fairly compact overall proportions. At 1.7 kilograms and 17mm thick, portability is decent and is aided by the compact 45 watts power supply. If you want something more stylish, head to our Asus VivoBook 15 versus Acer Aspire 5 comparison. The Asus is a slicker looking laptop for a similar price, but there are compromises elsewhere. It's worth noting the power supply uses an old school barrel connector. The Aspire 5 does have USB Type-C connectivity, but only for data. You can't charge it via USB-C, more's the pity. Still, one fringe benefit of the relative bezel bulge is plenty of space up top for proper webcam location. Your zoom accomplices won't have to suffer the up-nose angle that blights some slim bezel laptops, at least. Another design throwback is the somewhat stingy plastic trackpad. If you've tried one of the modern-style larger glass-top trackpads, it's awfully hard to revert. The Acer's trackpad feels constrained, limiting and a little cheap by comparison. Still, it's reasonably solid, which is a sentiment that applies more broadly to the Acer Aspire 5. With its metal keyboard surround and screen enclosure, it feels ready to take a beating. The only exception is the keyboard. The bed is prone to a bit of bounce. The screen hinge is likewise robust, if anything it's a bit too stiff.